Bobby Manning.
You got it.
You got it. This is the Bobby Manning series.
The Manning.
I'm excited.
The Manning
for it.
cast.
I want it for the same reason you guys want it. It's gonna be fun.
Oh no, Bobby!
KD,
No,
Kyrie.
Bobby! You actually wanted it because you thought the Nets were one of the weaker opponents in this playoffs.
Chicago. But in terms of Raptors, Nets, I think you got the easier of those two teams, and I think we'll see that round one.
Hold on.
We
have to qualify this every time. And Jimmy, you're doing the weird iPad lean where you're like on the complete right side of the screen. Yeah, there you go, my man, right there. So we have to qualify that, Bobby. You want this because you believe that Jaylen Brown was not going to be available for the Toronto series,
it's half that, and it's a tough matchup.
That's your judgment?
Yeah, it's 50% that, it's 50% the Raptors having all these long, versatile guys that can make Tatum, Brown stagnant. You saw here, the Cavs shot open looks all night. Just a brutal shooting night for them. Garland picked them up late. They ended up getting back into the game in the fourth quarter there, and they ultimately outscored the Nets for the last three quarters. But that opening 40-point bomb by the Nets there ended up giving them a slight edge in this game. So you're going to be able to run your offense against them. You're going to have to defend better than the Cavs did tonight for sure. Irving starts 12-12 in this one. But it's a series.
That's the problem.
Win.
It's not a matter of defense. That's the fear. The reason there's fear is because these guys are defense proof. You know,
there's no fear.
That's not a fear. The point is, what your defense is great, and everybody knows that. But when you're playing guys that defense doesn't matter, that's where it's like, okay, is the thing you're best at neutralized? The Celtics also have been playing terrifically on offense, so that's the flip side to the coin, where you actually feel really good about that matchup because Brooklyn does not have obviously a solid defensive club, though they have been playing better of late. Then there's the obvious wild card of the Ben Simmons situation, which is murky right now. But we have conflicting reports on it. Could be game one, could be game three.
Goodman said game one.
I know that. I'm setting that up.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
I'm getting there.
All right.
Ben Simmons plans to return in game one of the NBA playoffs. So that is very interesting that's kind of in play right now.
But he's not in game shape, John.
I mean, he's ready to play.
I wouldn't even use him.
No, so let me, if you want me to roll with that right now, I will.
Well,
did you see? Go ahead, Jimmy.
Let me say this.
Hold on. I'll let them say this. I'm just going to play it.
Okay.
Here's Goodman's report. Here's what he had to
say.
I
don't need to talk on the show. Like, why would I even?
No. I got these guys.
No, it's cool. Why would I?
We got these pros.
I'll see you guys
here.
later. Yeah, I'll just see you guys around.
All right, later, buddy.
Yeah, I'm told by my sources that Ben Simmons, as of now, the plan is for him to play game one, which very well could be where, Bob? Oh, game one of their first round series. Not
Bob
playing.
Is me.
Where
Bob is me right now.
Here in Boston. How about that? Kyrie having to exercise a couple demons against Cleveland and then potentially Boston. Ben Simmons returning, playing his first game this season in Boston.
Ding, ding, ding.
Bob, I feel you, Bob. I feel you when you get put on the spot and you're completely not paying attention.
Like I was looking at the chat. I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, I was looking at some stats.
Yeah.
No, hey, that's the great Bob Ryan. He can do whatever.
It's a great Bob Ryan, exactly.
And so can I. But anyways,
yeah,
interesting. Goodman. So Goodman dropping that little Goodman bomb there. Ben Simmons plans to return game one. Wow, plans to return game one. So he's kind of leaving it open there. You know, plans change. So we'll see how things go this week. I think they're going to try to get him out there for game one. Why not? I mean, what's the difference? Game one, game two. I mean, at that point, what are you waiting for?
I know. I love how people hate. I mean, Goodman may be villain number one in Boston, which is hilarious. Nobody trusts. Who broke the Coach K news, guys? Like nationally.
Yeah, Goodman's got some sources, legitimate sources for sure.
He's got the bat phone. He calls directly to Commissioner Gordon. He calls directly to Batman.
People would pay a lot of money for his contacts for his phone.
Anyway, so Simmons, look, You could have Simmons back by game 3. There's some optimism that there's Rob, whatever. We've been over this ad nauseum. We did a whole show on whether or not the Celtics should have found themselves in this position. Jimmy and I think it was not a good idea. Bobby doesn't care as much. A lot of the chat doesn't care as much. It is what it is. A lot of Celtics Twitter, there's a lot of people that are like, bring it on, bring it on. I don't care. Celtics are better. They very well might be. I think it's the worst of the two matchups. If you had a full squad, we don't know if they would have because we're not entirely sure if everyone could have played if it were Toronto. That's where we are. It is what it is. Life goes on. So forget about it. We're not going around in this circle of should they have avoided it. Though transparency from the team would be nice. But regardless, let's just look at the matchup. Bobby, why are you confident? And people should be confident. Celtics have played much better than this Brooklyn team, even without Rob down the stretch. So there's obviously reason to be confident. But what do you like?
So I like the way the Celtics are playing offense right now. The ball movement's on point still, even post-Rob. I feel like they've played a mix of good and bad teams since then. It's only 6-7 games. 2 of them you tanked, essentially, sitting everyone. But you still scored effectively, even in those games. So the ball movement's just in the place right now where you're getting quality looks. You're going to continue to get those looks against a team like Brooklyn, especially because I feel like Tatum's going to get downhill on this defense with little resistance, and that's going to lead to easy looks for him at the rim. Other guys are going to get open looks when the defense collapses, and there's really just not a great structure to this Nets defense. There's no identity on that end for these guys, and you can hope Ben Simmons throwing him into the mix helps a little bit, but one guy in a team system against pick and roll and all this other kind of stuff you're going to face doesn't fix a team defense that has just not shown much over the last 2 years. So the Celtics, like, this isn't a team that's just scoring okay right now or doing decent on the offensive end. They're Nets level offensively right now when we look back at the deadline, adding Derek White and, the pieces that they have in place right now. Losing Rob, like, you lose a little something on that end, but I feel like your defense is what takes a bigger hit losing Rob right now. Offensively with Tice and some of the stuff he's been able to do, they're effectively the same right now. And Brown's rolling, Smart's rolling. They are. Look at the numbers. They're putting up like 120 points.
There's almost nothing there's almost nothing post-Rob numbers-wise that's relevant. There's nothing.
Why?
Because they played either garbage teams that had mailed it in with none of their players, or
Milwaukee, or Miami,
or they mailed it in. So again, they weren't great against Miami. They did play a good game against Milwaukee. Got to throw out Detroit. Got to throw out Indiana. You're going to throw out Toronto. You're going to throw out Memphis. You're going to throw out a lot of these games because you just didn't really get a good sense of who they were going to be at all. I think Milwaukee was the best one. And again, you sat Tatum in that game, but you definitely felt good about that overall effort. There wasn't a lot there. So what they did post-Rob doesn't matter numbers-wise. It's a very inconsistent. It's a small sample size and extremely inconsistent. Chicago, they drilled. Absolutely.
Washington.
Chicago was great. Washington sat Kuzma and didn't have Beal again.
Wait, are you saying none of it matters?
I'm saying you're not going to take a snapshot of what they did post-Rob and feel like that's exactly how it's going to go.
No.
There's not enough of a sample size there. The competition was erratic with who was in, who was out for both teams. You got 1 or 2 games. Miami didn't look great. Chicago looked great. I'm not going to just dunk.
I mean,
they're better with, the offense is good with Tyson. It'll be fine. You'll see here. Like, you're really going to get the first.
You'll see here, but I think what you saw is that they can compete without Rob. And before they were blowing guys out or blowing teams out, and now,
of course, they can.
You know exactly, but you needed to see it in the guy. I think the players.
Chicago was the best one.
That was a great one too.
Dominant performance against a team that was trying to win, though didn't have a lot to play for, but still they played their players.
Milwaukee was super without.
You dominated them.
Milwaukee. Yeah. I mean, Miami, they lost, and I know they fell into some habits, but they kept at a game. So I mean, they're competing at the very least against these good teams. But yeah, Brooklyn in a 7-game series is a different beast. Listen, folks, I got my hard hat on for a reason. This is my playoff hard hat. The Celtics now have to get to work. It's time to put the hard hat on, get the lunch pail out, and just head down, grind it out. This is not going to be easy. Me and John have been saying it all week, and a lot of people have been saying it. This is the hardest matchup you could have got. For you to go all season and have the turnaround that you did, end up with the 2 seed, and then have to play the Brooklyn freaking Nets in the first round. That is about as bad as it gets in terms of, teams that you could have ended up playing against. After 50 wins, and you end up playing a team that arguably could have had more wins than you if they were healthy all season. So,
By the way, Celtics.
how is there a good way to spin that?
As expected, Celtics are underdogs in Vegas.
I was
don't have
just
the odds,
looking it
but
up. Just looking
Oh,
it
here
up.
we go. What do you mean as expected? I don't think people knew for sure.
No, they were.
I thought so.
No. It's not even. It's not even.
Oh,
a
you're right.
question.
Yeah, because they came out.
All
yeah,
the
yes,
title odds had Brooklyn ahead.
they were
so you
already.
knew they
Yeah,
were already ahead of them.
They were plus 650, I think, and Celtics were like what 750 or something like that.
It's close. It's close.
What's the line for game one? That's what I want to know. Is that out yet? Probably not. It's a week
I'm
away.
sure it is, but I'll look.
Or maybe it's out.
Anyway.
Some of you have it. Anyway, so that's the origin of the. This is Hardhead only comes out for the playoffs, so it's officially out. We'll see how long I'll be wearing it. I do think, I know we're not going to get into predictions just yet, but I do think the Celtics are going to be a very, very difficult out in these playoffs. I'm just saying, listen, the Nets tonight.
Slight underdogs. Seeing it a couple different books right now. Yep.
For game one?
For the series.
Oh, for the series. Okay.
What's
okay,
what's the odds?
There's a few different ones, but it's slight underdogs.
So they're with home court, they're slight underdogs. So tonight you had Durant and Kyrie doing their thing. Curry 0 points. So Bobby, when you say how is a guy like Simmons going to help? Curry gave them absolutely nothing on offense.
That's
tonight.
a concern for them.
So
he looks
really,
hurt.
so the bar is set pretty freaking low in terms of substituting a guy like Simmons in for somebody like Curry. If if you're talking about, is Simmons going to hurt you? Well, he certainly couldn't hurt you more than Curry hurt you tonight, and they still won that
but
game.
then you have Drummond, Simmons, and Bruce Brown, 3 non-shooters in your starting lineup. So that hurts you in that.
Well, I'm not talking about starting him and playing him 35 minutes, but the idea that you can carve into a lot of, you were concerned about him taking all of Bruce Brown's minutes, but I'm thinking that he might end up taking some of Curry's minutes if Curry is either hurt or just not on his game. They're not going to sit Curry out there for 30 minutes a game and go 0 for 5 and just be a complete dud on both ends of the court. So Simmons definitely has plenty of minutes to find. There's certainly situations where Brown and Simmons will be out there at the same time. So if you think Brown's a player that can really help this Nets team, there's a way to get Simmons into the game without sort of sacrificing his minutes to do so. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is not going to be easy. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but
no, I think we all agree on that.
They're underdogs in their own home court series here as the 2 seed. I mean, the disrespect. Hopefully they can use a little of that.
That's what's interesting to me is
Sherrod's the one who thinks this is going to be easy.
Again, whatever it is, it's easy, not easy. I know there's a faction of people out there who are like, the Nets aren't that good. The Celtics are clearly better. It shouldn't be a problem. And then there's the rest of the world that's like, this is a coin flip, right. And again,
it comes down to John. You said this on Spaces. Do they revert to the old Celtics? Not fully, but some of the crunch time issues.
The crunch time fourth quarter, right? Exactly.
That's the only way, in my mind, the Celtics lose this series, and I feel good about how they're playing right now.
There's 2 ways they lose. That they can't slow down Durant and Kyrie because nobody actually can. And those guys get theirs, and that's fine. And you're just going punch for punch with them. You're not able to stop them on defense or slow them down enough. So it just becomes, and it doesn't always have to be like a 130 to 128 game, but you're just going back and forth with them. And you turn into, you revert to that Miami offense late in the game, and that's the fear. The difference here is Brooklyn doesn't really have someone to put the clamps down. This is where the Simmons wild card kind of comes in. If Simmons comes in and can make life annoying for a guy like Tatum and can lock him up a little bit and play some crunch time minutes in close games, it does change the series dynamic. I know there's a million things you say about Ben Simmons, like he can't shoot free throws and he's rusty and he's not going to play that much, blah, 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 blah. What do you like, Jimmy?
Well, somebody just texted me and said, "Nice hard hat." Just stupid.
It's been a while.
Of course. There's a million things Ben Simmons can't do. The one thing we know that he can do is play really good defense. And that's something no one else on.
And that can really screw you.
And that's a thing. I heard defense is important, Bobby. I think you said that at some point.
Did you say defense wins championships, Bobby? I think you said that.
And it's a balance they're going to have to strike. I dug into the series pretty heavily on Dome Theory today. And, my guest, Ajayi Brown, who covers them, made a good point that you have both. It's good to have both. It's not one or the other. You can play Simmons and Brown. and use both of them in different lineups, which is true. It's better than Kessler Edwards or whoever else is out there. But I don't want Simmons intruding on this Bruce Brown role on offense right now where he's going downhill off screens, catching, making passes. I think he had 7 assists in this one, not to mention finishing and doing all the other things he can do around the basket, rebounding, putbacks. He's not a great shooter, but as a mini center, he's been dynamic for almost a month now for them. And Simmons has never done that stuff. It's like Russell Westbrook. We've imagined him in this role where he screens, gets downhill, and uses his passing ability in the thick of the defense. Never done it. Never shown an intention to do it. He's either brought the ball up or he stands near the basket and just waits to catch it. And that's effectively been Ben Simmons in his basketball career. Fast breaks too, of course. So if he's willing to do that
coast
in
to
other
coast
lineups,
fast breaks.
yes. If he's willing to do that, great. I think there's a lot of potential for Simmons, but I got to see it. I got to see him look like he's in shape. I got to see him look like the back's not hampering him. We haven't seen Simmons in a year, Jimmy. Like, we're just imagining his old self. We're just saying he's going to pick it right back up, stepping back on the court, and it's all going to be good on a new team with guys he's never played with. I'm stunned they're throwing him out in this series. Really am, because there's a lot that could go wrong.
There's a lot that could still.
Here's the thing, Robbie. I don't understand stunned. It's a word choice. I don't know if you mean stunned. Wouldn't it be more stunning if he was healthy and didn't play? That would be stunning.
I mean, we've been stunned.
Why'd you trade for him? Why'd you trade for him if you're not going to play him? If you're ready to go?
We've been stunned. He hasn't played so far. Everyone thought he was just going to get right back on the court.
I'm saying if he's healthy, the stunning thing would be him not playing, not him playing.
Right.
I don't understand. Right.
I mean, you like how you're playing right now if you're them, though, don't you? You like what you're doing.
I just don't understand this thinking. Like, is there anybody, if any of the core...
Is it easy to integrate a guy in a playoff
If
series?
any of the core Celtics right now missed a year... If Jamal Murray was ready tomorrow, is Denver not going to play him? Is Kawhi Leonard going to sit because he's going to interrupt the Clippers' chemistry? I'm so confused by
Remember how badly Celtics fans
difference.
wanted Gordon Hayward to, like, miraculously be ready to go for the playoffs,
with his broken foot, with his foot broken at a 90-degree angle. Like, my God, what are we? We got to be honest with it here. If it were anybody else, anywhere else, you just throw them right in and hope for the best, and recognize that it's not necessarily going to be great, but it's better than not having them. Like, you're dying for this person to get back. If you're Philly,
here's the difference.
I mean, Brooklyn, this is a huge development. I don't know why we're downplaying it and saying, like, I think it's not going to matter. It's a big deal for them.
Right. They're not bringing in some, like, G League guy and trying to incorporate him into the team. Like,
we can't.
Yeah,
like, we can't have an argument
that he's a very good player.
How do you your argument,
Bobby? Your argument can't be, not yours, but people's argument can't be. There's the Nets have no one behind Kyrie and Durant. But also they shouldn't play Ben Simmons if he's back and healthy. It can't be both. It's because they have nobody behind those guys that Ben Simmons coming back, he's going to charge right in there. If he's healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if he's playing 30-plus minutes a night. Like,
now you and Jimmy are saying different things.
I'm saying it's a massive upgrade over what they have. I think people are guessing 15 to 20, which I think still helps you because he's going to come in there and play at the very least solid defense. He's a terrific athlete. He's a good passer. He can run transition. He can do that stuff in his sleep. Okay.
If he's playing 30-plus, he's just.
I don't think they're going to put him in. I don't think
he's going to play 30-plus.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's closer to like 10.5, something like that.
Here's the difference between a Murray, a Hayward. He's never played for this team. And that back injury, the mysterious back injury, something like that happens from not being in shape and ramping up too fast. So is he in better shape now after a back injury? I mean, that's my line of thinking here. Like, I don't know if he's ready to roll full speed ahead being Ben Simmons.
I know that, but what I'm saying is if somebody told you Rob Williams would be ready to go at 70%, do you throw him right back in there? Or do you say, you know what, let's just roll with Tice?
I mean, Rob played a basketball game.
I understand, but if
3
he came
weeks
back
ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Percentage.
We're talking physically. If physically Rob Williams came back and was at 70, 75%, are you like, I'm not playing this guy?
I mean, he's been with the team. He knows his role. These guys have played together. Like, this stuff all factors in. He's never played for the Nets before, number one. Number two, he hasn't played in the NBA in a year.
So at some point he's gonna have to play.
Everyone
In
gets
game one of the playoffs in Boston,
Again,
the time to do it?
Throw him in the fire. He's getting paid millions of dollars to play for the Nets, so you might as well play when it matters most. What the hell is the point of waiting for the preseason?
It could
This is
hurt
the-
them. That's my
this is-
point.
Then don't
this
take
is-
him out.
This is the dream right now for the Nets.
So they'll
that you-
shut him down if it goes poorly?
that you were able to find
Yeah,
your way
they will.
into the play-in, get in, win it in one, and then have this guy ready to go for the first round was the best case you could ask for, given the way things had developed over the last month or so. This is it for them. Is it gonna swing? I don't know if it'll swing the series. It's not gonna swing it the other way. That I'm certain.
You don't
putting
think it could go
Ben's-
bad?
Not so bad.
I don't
What's
think they
the
would
worst thing that
allow
happens
it.
if it goes bad?
We just saw him we just saw this guy have the worst playoff meltdown in NBA history.
Bobby, what is the worst thing that's going to happen here? He's going to take minutes from whom?
Bruce
Bobby, he's going to
Brown.
play a few minutes in the.
Why
Listen,
Bruce Brown?
they
Why
don't
is he
even
gonna
have to
take
play him in
minutes-
crunch time.
Why is he going
crunch
to take
time.
minutes from their third best player? He's going to take them from the 8th best player. Do you understand? He's not taking Bruce Brown's minutes, okay?
Depends how big of a role he has.
It doesn't matter. He's not taking Bruce Brown's minutes. That's not whose minutes he's taking. You take the guy from the bottom of the rotation's minutes, okay?
It's not even
You're
so
taking
much
away-
minutes.
You're taking away Edwards. You're taking away some Dragic, maybe, who hasn't done anything for them. That's an improvement, okay? It's an improvement.
It could be, but it's less about minutes. It's more about role. And like I said, Ben Simmons' sweet spot should be rolling to the basket off these playmakers and shooters, making passes and decisions and finishing. And that's effectively what Brown's been doing.
Against a Rob Less team, okay? You can throw out a closing lineup of, whatever you want here. Irving, Curry, Durant, Drummond, Simmons. You can throw out Brown, Simmons. That's a formidable lineup. It presents more matchup problems, and it just is better than what they have currently. I don't get what's wrong with Curry, by the way.
He's hurt.
I mean,
Bad
he's
ankle.
a mess.
Yeah. He's been really questionable to play.
That's a
and he's just
massive
gotten
wild
out.
card.
That's
because,
another
like,
reason why they want Simmons back.
Yeah, that's a massive wild
I mean,
card.
those guys aren't interchangeable, Jimmy. That's a
But
floor
it's
space
minutes.
area
It's
creator.
They're
minutes,
not. You
though.
got massive floor spacing issues. Dragic is going to have to step up, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
They have problems. There's no question about it. It's imperfect. Just the point being is you're asking two guys to carry the load entirely. You don't have any defensive stoppers on the team. Brown is fine as a defender. And then you're throwing Simmons into the mix. It can only help.
Yeah.
It can
But
help.
let's say he doesn't
But forget
play.
Simmons or no Simmons.
Right.
This team alone is formidable.
Yeah, so let's get to the two guys that matter.
They are
Durant.
good, I heard.
Blake
Durant
and
Irving.
Oh, okay.
Durant was nasty tonight. I was stunned by his defense. Man, did he come out and defend. And that's what
By the
flipping
way,
switch can do.
KD is a decent defender.
Yes, I was
that's-
surprised. I was surprised at how he turned it up because he didn't have a great year on that end. And I think he's like some of it's energy conservation and some of it's coasting a little bit on his end. And, the Stars will do that. He came out tonight and was sending shots flying. And he was rotating on the big guys. He was on the perimeter doing stuff. It was a big surprise seeing what Durant could do on that end. So that's good for Brooklyn. He's going to have to do that some on Tatum and Brown over the course of a game while carrying the offensive load too, certainly. So he could use Simmons in that regard to help out in that area. Kyrie, man, can he be a volcano? So that's Smart's assignment there. He's going to have to do some work because Kyrie's starting to catch some fire. That guy in the spaces, John, who was floating he's becoming a full-time player. This is going to be tough for him. We'll see how that develops, but it doesn't look like a big concern to me right now.
That was if that person's in the chat, I don't want to say anything bad.
He started
like,
12 for 12.
What
He's
are we
never done
talking?
that
What are we
before.
talking about? Kyrie Irving settling into the role of being a full-time player. Like he's one of the most skilled basketball players who's ever played basketball.
My
Like
guest today was talking about Ramadan. I guess it's Ramadan and he's not eating. So
that's not
for
great.
that, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not
Well,
great. Anyway, so
Jaylen Brown, I think he might do that too. Well, he's done it in the past.
So Kyrie obviously was on fire. Durant is Durant. It is what it is. Again, it's just
You just kind of let those guys get theirs and try to stop one. Like, what's the
You don't.
what's the
You
deal
play.
against
You
them?
play. Like, look, man, they played them already. They did this on. They did this. They played their best game a month ago at the Garden with Rob. They went punch for punch. Kyrie did not play a great game. They won. I think that's gonna be what you're looking at here. It's a team that's scary. It's a team that can make baskets in bunches. You're not going to feel leads are necessarily safe. I don't think the Celtics can put the clamps on them because these are just not guys you put the clamps on. They get theirs regardless of the defense. Can they make it hard for them? Yeah, I guess that's the hope, that you just put them into situations where they're always taking contested shots. But I mean, Durant never takes contested shots. He just shoots over the top of whoever's in front of him. And Kyrie Irving is so friggin' creative. He can just there's probably no one in the history of the NBA who can do the things that he does in and around the basket, and just his creative way of getting his shots off and all of these different, he's just a wizard. He's a wizard. So I know he hasn't gone to the basket as much this year, so that's a little bit different, but that possibility opens itself up without Rob in the game. So I think that hurts you a little bit there. It opens up for Kyrie to go kind of do some of the stuff he does do around the rim. I know he's turned more into a mid-range guy this year. The at the rim numbers are way down, but I mean, the dude's fire. You know, what are you going to do?
And he kills the Celtics.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
You get the firepower,
in the past.
though. That's my point.
Yeah, now it's up. So again, it's so what you counter with is Tatum and Brown. What did we say in Rob's absence? Tatum and Brown have to level up. So
And they have.
They got 2 stars. You got 2 stars. So, you know, they got to go be stars, you know?
And you feel good about Tatum, right? Like
and you got the Marcus Smart X factor here too.
And Marcus.
You feel good about
Marcus
Tatum.
Smart
Yeah. Because he's going to make the passes and stuff. He's going to get out of those double teams that they throw at him.
Right.
Brown's got to keep rolling in this sweet spot that he's in.
Yes,
finisher.
exactly.
You know, when he's in open space, get downhill and get right to the basket and score. If Brown's the Brown that he's been for the last 10 games or so, since he really started hitting his stride there, Celtics should win this series. But he's got to be consistent. He's got to be efficient. And he's got to not turn the ball over and, you know, do some of the things that he's done at his worst this year.
And honestly, like, it's going to come down to, here's where it's going to get dicey. If the Celtics revert into that kind of, you know, they just got to knock down shots the way they've been knocking down. Like what we've seen
That's huge. And it sounds simple, but they do need to do it. Yeah.
But that's what's going to kill you. If you have one of these, like, you know, 10 for 38, you know, 10 for 40 from 3 shooting nights. Those are hard because you're working for it. You're getting those looks. And when they don't go down, and that was what was frustrating early in the season, everyone shot below their, below their level. Al, Jalen, Jason was awful. Marcus started ice cold. You had Derek White there for a period of time. Even, you know, Pritchard with the face mask, he wasn't hitting any of his. It was really Grant was the only guy hitting shots in the early part of the year. But when they go into one of those cold stretches where they can't knock down their shots, again, like you said, it sounds simple, but that's where it gets weird.
They're 39% from 3 since the break. And
they've been awesome.
Oh, they've been on fire. That could come down a little bit.
But you get used to that. And so, you know, like I said, Al's been knocking those down now. He wasn't at all before. So now you can kind of count on it a little bit. You know, so I don't know.
22 games.
They've been good. And,
you know, you look at the percentages here from the individual guys. It's everybody's hot right now. Like White hit his stride. He had that 50% stretch to close the year. Like you said, Horford, Tatum found his shot. You feel good about some of these guys continuing to roll, but like Pritchard, 41%. Does he stay that high? Grant, 41% over this stretch, you know, since the break. It's, you know, a lot of guys are really, really hot right now. If that comes down to the middle a little bit, all of a sudden, like John said, it's tighter games. Nets are probably going to be the more deadly shooting team in this series, at least just from those 2 guys. They're more reliable on that front. You just got to continue to run your offense, right?
And the thing with the Nets, that scares me. I think some people see, you know, not great performances, you know, in the last however many games, and just kind of say, you know, Oh, they're not that good. Like there are guys who play just as hard as they need to play. You know, that's always kind
Right.
of my worry is like, you know, Durant, as you said, isn't throwing himself out there on defense every single time. You get to the playoffs, you're seeing a different version of these
Right.
guys. And so I just be prepared for that. That's all.
And they're all proven too. They're all they're both champions.
We've also seen Kyrie turn into an absolute dog because he's a front runner. So yes, if the Celtics got up on them, early and made it really frustrating, you could see Kyrie folding, and that would be enjoyable as hell.
Well, that's why I mentioned Marcus. I think he's got a huge task here is to frustrate Kyrie, get all up in these guys. This is your defensive player of the year candidate here. I mean, I know that the voting's already in, but there's no better way to make your case, whether the voters get it right or wrong, that you are the defensive player of the year, than to go out there and really have an effect on their two-headed monster over there. Especially with Kyrie Irving. I mean, that's got to be what he's focusing on, 100% is just limiting Kyrie and making Durant do a lot more. And that's where Tatum comes in, because Tatum's covered Durant, I would say, just as good as anybody this year. So, you have the capability to limit these guys and then force the Currys, force Dragics, whoever, the Mills, whoever they can throw out there, force those guys to step up. And more often than not, they're not going to have enough firepower on that Nets team to make up for Durant and Kyrie that aren't dropping, 60 combined.
You're right about that. Listen, like my key really is here. You have to annihilate Kyrie on the defensive end. Curry, like, take those guys off the court. Aldridge goes out there, go right by him. Like, there are some absolutely horrible defenders on the Brooklyn side. You still don't really have, like, Pritchard's kind of a guy you can go at. Tice, I think, is going to be a problem in this series. I'm just predicting that early right now. Like,
I'm seeing Tice switched on to Durant a ton, and it's going to just be.
But on the net side,
really friggin' hideous, right?
You're going to be able to do that all game long. Like, you have to do your thing offensively in this series. You got to take advantage of these guys. You got to put up the points and race. Yeah,
they might double a little bit there. Again, it's not a panic thing. It's just. We've been over.
It's gonna be hard. Right.
It's the worst. I think it was the worst matchup. So what do we need to do?
It's not scared.
What do we need to do?
Bobby, you sound like you need a little calm right now, man. Sounds like you need to fire up the app, calm.com.
No, I'm excited. I'm not scared. I'm excited.
This is officially last time was a soft opening. Last show was a soft opening.
This is the hard opening.
This is the official opening again of the return
reopening
of the Calm app.
Of calm.com/garden. Calm is our favorite sponsor, guys, and they're going to be
I got new copy, Jimmy. So before you start to step all over it, let me get through it one time, all right?
All right, get through it. But I just want to say that they are one of our favorite sponsors.
I'm not going to do it, but I'm doing it.
Trying something new can be intimidating. Meditation may be something you've been hearing about, but you have to try it for yourself. Calm helps you feel more at ease from the moment you start. Find somewhere that's comfortable and familiar to you, like your couch or your bed or this post-game show, and tune into Calm. How have you been caring for yourself lately? Whether it's taking longer baths, going on evening strolls, midday naps. Jimmy, what do you do to take care of yourself?
Oh man, where do I start?
Other than Calm.
In years.
I mean, I'll go for a run. I like to go for a run. I think that's pretty soothing.
Good.
Go down the Esplanade, get some sun, chill on the docks. You might see me out there with the shirt off once it gets warm. No big deal.
That's nice.
That's my big thing. Other than that, I like to play a little music. Calm.com actually has a really good music. They got some playlists there for you to sort of take it down a couple notches, so you can actually kill two birds with one stone. You can listen to that while you're running.
Exactly. So it's time for a break, even though this is technically an ad break, but our partners at Calm want you to focus on yourself for the moment. We're partnering with Calm, once again, the #1 mental wellness app, to give you the tools to improve the way you feel, reduce stress and anxiety through guided meditations, improve focus with curated music tracks, rest and recharge with Calm's imaginative sleep stories for children and adults. There's even new daily movement sessions designed to relax your body and uplift your mind. So how do you do it? Calm.com/garden. What is that, Jimmy?
Calm.com/garden.
Hey, Bob Ryan, pay attention to me.
I just lost connection. Can you hear me? Calm.com/garden.
40%
off your premium subscription. Yes. And I'm telling
Yes,
you guys,
thank
the
you very much.
premium subscription,
So
it's a whole nother world. Can you hear me? Or are you
Yeah.
just cutting me
Yeah,
off?
Yep, we got
Can
you.
you hear me?
So no, game one is
Okay,
Sunday,
you just cut me off.
3:30, TD Garden. Do we have game two? Anything else beyond that, guys?
Couldn't find it. No.
I haven't
that's what we
seen
got.
anything yet either. 3:30. That's the big one. It's the big Kahuna time slot. So you're gonna have to, you and the family are gonna have to figure out: are we gonna do more of a lunch style Easter dinner? Are we gonna go after the game? Are we gonna
Oh,
try to
I
fit
forgot
this in at
about Easter.
halftime? You forgot about Easter, dude?
I've been thinking
How
about
about
the
Easter?
series. Sorry. Easter's going to have to take a step to the side this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for a lot of people, they have difficult decisions to make here. So, you can do both. You can do the old Easter dinner with the game on in the background,
We'll
but,
go to
you've
church
got to
in the
figure out a way
morning.
to get to your TVs. Yeah. But, you're going to have to do, a lot of people are going to have to do the family thing. They might have to
Yeah.
drive to the in-laws and, pretend to care about what's going on. But as long as the game is on somewhere, you can fit the dinner
As long
on
as
around
it's
it.
TV.
Bobby, you'll be at the game, Bobby. So,
Yep, we'll have
you will
coverage of
be
this whole series. Brooklyn, easy to get down
recording
there.
live.
Yep, we'll be live, home and away.
Oh, true.
Yep. So that's good stuff. Covering the game. Why not, right? But it's the best thing about it is it's the most hateable team.
Easily.
It's so easily. They were even more hateable with Harden. So freaking easy to hate.
Oh, Simmons fits right in
Simmons
terms of
is
the Harden
really
spot.
hateable too.
Simmons is
so
really
like
hateable, yeah.
He
and
might
that's
be over Harden for Boston.
the Garden's going to be awesome in game one just because these guys are the worst. They're the worst.
People are going to be fired up.
Get ready. I told you. We already got a Durant tweet at Gelso. The Irving press conference is like that. Irving press conference is only right around the corner. Simmons, who knows what's going to happen with him? It's all they're the big
The
three.
fans are going to be good on Sunday, and really, every home game they're going to bring it. But Sunday's going to be a lot of energy in the building. A little Sunday 3:30. Everyone's going to have people are going to have a little couple drinks in them, maybe. So be loud and proud out there. Keep it in line, but make sure that the Nets are about as uncomfortable as a visiting team can be. But yeah, those guys are about as unlikable as you can get as far as an opponent. So as far as entertainment value, this is the best matchup you could ask for. Cavs would have been a snore. That would have been kind of a boring series. Bulls would have been a boring series. Raptors would have been a little bit more entertaining because those fans are kind of crazy. But Nets
that was
by
an
far.
outside fun chance, yeah.
Nets by far is the best, matchup you could get. And I'm saying Celtics in 7. That's my prediction. I am going to take the Celtics, but I just think it's going to be, and if they won in 6, would I be shocked? No, but I'm going to say 7 just because I do think it's a tough matchup, first round matchup for them. And I think there's going to be a couple games where they're not going to look like the Celtics that, we've come to know and love over the last 3 months or so.
I'm keeping an eye on the Nets quotes rolling out. Nothing too crazy, but Kyrie did say
I want your guys' predictions too.
Going to be a great test. I know that team very well, and they know us very well.
That's
Yeah, he knows them so well. He quit on them. He left them. That's how well he knows them. So don't forget that.
Kyrie
Celtics
never
won't
had a
forget.
game. I was saying this. Kyrie never had a game like this in a Boston uniform, did he? This was
Sure he did.
tonight. 12 of 12.
I mean, he had a lot of good games here.
He had some really good games, and he's
Toronto
played well
one
against
comes to
them
mind.
too.
He's
He's had some
against
pretty good
Boston.
games against the Celtics, so
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to definitely show up. So
He had one flop in that playoff series last year, and then he had the flop in March, and that's about it. The other games have been pretty lethal, as you said, Jimmy. So you expected him to show up.
right.
Durant, there's really no way to slow him. I mean, he was shooting over Rob in that game. You go back and watch that game. It's interesting the way the Celtics, there were stretches where they held the Nets and had them guessing and really made it tough on them. And then there were stretches where the Nets kind of got theirs with ease. So it kind of flowed. Like these games are going to be long battles with different sequences in them where there's going to be a lot of adjustments have to be made on Ime's end. Like, does this become more of a Tice series or does this become more of a Grant series? I think that's going to become a question very early in terms of how they defend. And just a bunch of different stuff, minutes, defensive schemes. Like you just can't do that Rob thing the whole way, I'd imagine. So this is a big series for Ime, right? Because listen, I'm sure a lot of people made the decision to go
Coaching
all out for that
advantage to
last game.
Ime.
It is, yes. But this is kind of Ime's choice, right? I'm sure like most of the onus fell on Ime. I'm sure the team as well. But Ime choosing to go forward, win that game, knowing that Brooklyn could be on the other end. So, he's going to have to lead them through this here.
Prediction time. I gave mine.
Already?
What's your series prediction? Yeah, I said Celtics in 7. What else? What other information are you going to need before the game? Are you looking at Raptor and all the other analytical stats?
Yeah.
LeBron, Raptor, whatever else they got floating around. I've had to read so many
Come on,
stats
John.
this week about the MVP.
Want me to go first? Jimmy's got Celtics in 7. You got
Oh yeah, I
anything
didn't think
Jimmy?
I didn't think we were at that portion of the show, but that's fine. Yeah.
Well, what portion? I mean, we can
Go
jump
ahead.
around.
Go ahead. Do your thing, Jimmy.
Why you say 7,
Bobby.
Jimmy? Let's get an explanation.
Well, I think I kind of said it. It's just going to be. I'm giving the Nets the respect that I think they deserve, but I'm also admitting that I think the Celtics are still better than them. So, again, could the Celtics win in 6? Yeah, I wouldn't be completely stunned. If they take one on the road in Brooklyn and then finish things off at home, like I don't think anyone would be stunned by that, because I do think that they're a more complete team. And if Tatum and Brown are as hot as they have been, then I do see the Celtics, winning this series. That being said, you can make the case that on any given night, Durant and Kyrie are the two best players on the floor against any team in the NBA. So if they play to their capabilities, home, away, it doesn't really matter. Those guys can get theirs any way they want. So I'm anticipating them finding ways to score and finding ways to win in this series. So I think it comes down to the 7th game, and I'll take the Celtics at home and, the biggest game of pretty much all their careers. I think they're going to step up and move on to the next round. So that's kind of my thinking there.
I was saying 6, 7. I'll lean 6. Like I said, I don't think this Simmons thing's going to go well. I don't think they have the defense to do this. I love the way the Celtics are playing right now. It looks like an outside chance Rob could come back early, so I'll factor that in a little bit, but that's probably like the least of my analysis on this is the possibility that he could help there, but it's part of it. I just think the Celtics have reached another level. Again, we're talking a 2 seed versus a 7. We went in the last postseason. Celtics a little damaged. They were the 7 seed, didn't have a great year. Nets were rolling. They were the 2 seed. They had more talent. They were the better team, and it played out that way. I don't think the gap's nearly as large between these two teams this time around, but I do think the Celtics are better. So
No, I hear you. Like I said, it's not that it's just not a 2-7 matchup, and we have to stop thinking about it that way. It's just not.
I mean, you are who your record is to some degree.
You're not though. And
How,
again, that's the thing.
How is that true?
Because let me explain it. You lost Durant. You got this coach who just put no priority on building up role players all year. It's a miracle that Bruce Brown's playing the way he is. So you're effectively leaning on 1 to 2 guys to make or break you. And if you don't have them rolling, you're that team that lost 15 in a row when your guys were out by like 20, 30 points a game. So you're effectively, as the Nets, leaning on 1 to 2 guys. So, like, if they're not there, you're going to lose. There's no one else that can step up for the Nets and win you a game.
You can look at it 2 ways. One, the Celtics aren't their record either. They're considerably better because you can make this argument. You could toss the first half of the year and say
that's fair.
The team that's playing the second half might be a good bit better. So that's fine because and all the whole Pythagorean blah, 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 and this and that, their point differential and record in close games, it should have, leveled off over time, shows that they should have been a 60-something win team. So you can make that argument if you want to on the Celtics side. Some people think that the last 35 games erased the first 45, and I'm not going to argue with them because if they've transformed, evolved, and there's something different, that's fine. It's just when you remove Rob and you remove one of the things that made you great, you have to recognize that you've come down a little. So as good as the Celtics have been, let's just assume they're the second half team. They're just a little worse than that. Okay. Just a little worse than the team that won 80% of its games. So they're still really freaking good. But the Nets, again, if Durant doesn't go out, and they lose friggin' 13 to 15 games, what do you think's the worst they have there? They probably win half of those games. So their record is 5 or 6 games better, which means overall record-wise, these teams would be extremely close. And this would be under extreme circumstances, which is including Simmons not playing a game at all and Harden friggin' tanking, and then he decides he doesn't want to play at all, and Irving playing in no home games. So you have to look at right now, you don't have any of those problems. You have Irving, you have Durant for all of it, and you might have Simmons. So you have to look at them as different than what they were during the course of the season. You can't just look at the record. It's just not a 2-7 matchup. It isn't. It's really a second round matchup, against two teams where it could go in either.
I think it's an East Finals level,
or an East Finals level. It could go in either direction. So I just don't think. I think people are like, "We'll kill them. They're a 7 seed." It doesn't make sense.
If you think Celtics will kill them, I think you're off base. I can't see that. I like Celtics in 5, even as Sherrod said, I can't see it.
I could see it. I really could.
You see a series where the Celtics blow them away?
I could see a series where the Celtics are just playing at an overall higher level than them, and they're able to just overwhelm them. I could see that.
So that's your prediction.
I'm still kind of going
all right,
back.
Here we go. It's prediction time for John.
I'm not ready for it.
You don't have to if you're not ready.
I mean, you like 20 extra minutes.
I mean,
no. Can I give it right before? I want to let it marinate a little bit. I want to see when Simmons is playing.
We know when he's playing. We trust Goodman.
He's holding off to the very last second, and I already know what his prediction's going to be.
Come on, put it out there, John.
I'm not ready yet.
You know what it's going to be.
No, he's not ready. If he's not ready, he's not ready.
What do you got to do? You got to go to Raptor, like Jimmy said? Like, there's nothing that we need to see.
Yeah. John's going to crunch the numbers. He's going to go over all the scenarios. He's going to stay up late thinking about it for the next 5 days, and then
Celtics fans aren't scared of the Nets.
They're clearly not.
Prediction.
I'm not. I just haven't landed yet. I don't like to talk out of school. When I have it, I'll give it to you.
All right.
I'm still. It's marinating. It's marinating.
Here we go. We got Jimmy Celtics in 7. We got me Celtics in 6. Sherrod is in at Celtics in 5. Joe Sway will have to send an email.
We'll have to get one from Joe Sway. Maybe we'll do some. Well, I'm sure we'll be doing something in one platform or another prior to the game. So we'll get John's official prediction point
by game three.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
By game 3. Man. No, it's really, marinate. I'm all over the place on it. I'm still knocking it around. There's a version of me that thinks the Celtics are going to swamp them, and it's going to be the Nets are going to run into a buzzsaw, and the Celtics are going to be playing at a much higher level than the Nets are ready for, and they're just going to wipe them out. There's a piece of me that still thinks that. I'm just trying to get there fully.
You want to see how the practice reports look this week?
No. I just want to see where I settle in on it, because there's a part of me that thinks they're going to absolutely buzz through them. There's another part that says,
what's the other part? Yeah.
That the Nets are scary as hell, and like I'm there's monsters in the closet right now, and I'm afraid, like
I don't want to get there.
I want to sleep with the lights on. Like something about them, scares me a little. But the part of Celtics fans right now, the faction of Celtics fans that has no respect for Brooklyn, I kind of feel some of that too. Like these guys.
Oh, here we go, John Sultan again.
There's a little bit of that in me because I look at them.
They're getting to them.
No, there's a lot to hate about this team, and I'd love to get all the way over where I can say
they're vulnerable.
They're just really hard to dismiss because Durant is Durant and Kyrie is Kyrie. So I'm still trying to.
I feel like they have the bad habits, that go along with having 2 superstar players and a bunch
of. It's really dreadful. I mean, did you guys watch?
I just don't care how anyone else was playing. I don't care that Toronto was playing well. I understand they've been playing well. I understand they have athletes and they have length. I do not believe Toronto could have beaten the Celtics. Can we flip
the analysis for a second? Because I think sometimes you have to do this.
I do not believe Chicago had any chance of beating the Celtics.
No, that would have been a sweep.
I felt no concern in the 3 spot and very little in the 4 if you had a full roster. It's the only one that gives me pause. That's all.
I was a little worried about Toronto.
If you have a full roster,
Yeah, we'll never know that question.
Then we'll
keep debating that till the sun sets. But let's flip this.
Do you think they wanted to avoid Miami or something? Do you think that had something to do with it?
Who, Brooklyn?
No, the Celtics. Do you think that you might avoid Miami in the second round or something? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to rack my brain on why they. I know. I'm just trying to. I know.
But
It
anyway,
is
like
what
I
it
want to
is.
flip the analysis here for a minute because we talk about the Celtics issues. We talk about how scary Irving and Durant are. If we just flip it from a Nets perspective, and you're going into this series as the Nets, and you're looking at Tatum and Brown and what they're doing, first off, you got to ask, all right, what are we going to do to slow these guys? What are we going to do to make life difficult for them? Because I do think these two have ascended at this point, into their roles and into their comfort zones and ability to play off each other. And then number two, we've talked about the Celtics closing games. How do you close games if you're Brooklyn when you're unable to get a stop? And we saw it again here tonight. The door was wide open for the Cavs until the final seconds of this game. Got it from 20 at the end of the first down to, I think it was as close as 4 or 6.
This
at the
game
end
was
of it.
never in doubt.
Oh, I thought
I
it
know
was.
I know it got to 6, but this was like
Again, but we're talking about the Cavs versus the Celtics. Like the Cavs were depleted, didn't have shooting, didn't have finishers, all that different kind of stuff. You put the Celtics in the position they were in tonight, they might have blown right through the finish line. So again, like I'm sure some people watched this game and got scared based off what the Nets did early, but it's a different Celtics team that's going to be going at Brooklyn above what the Cavs are doing here. So you just flip this analysis. Like you're kind of scared if you're the Nets looking at Brown and Tatum on the other side. Like, what are you going to do with those guys?
again, the Rob thing. If Rob is here, I'd be saying Celtics with a gentleman's sweep. I wouldn't have cared if Simmons played at all. I just think at full force
Right.
they would have.
That takes me back to my take at the beginning, though, John. Like,
I think the drop from Rob to Tice is so large.
but it doesn't matter
we're
if Brown
just
and
not
Tatum are
seeing
playing
it.
like they are.
It matters. It's an X factor matters. If your
Well, look at
shots aren't
this.
falling and theirs are, yeah.
Bruce Brown of the
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nets, Bobby's MVP of the season. Them not having Robert Williams is huge. We can attack Tice and Horford in the paint. That was tonight after the game.
Can I ask you guys
A
a
little
question?
bulletin board material there.
I know. In order to
Put it on
qualify as a
Tice's locker.
Celtics fan, can you only say nice things?
What's that? Oh, in order to be a fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a hater if you even question the team. You're an absolute hater and a fraud.
So am I allowed to say I can't say anyone else is pretty, right? I can't say like
Nope.
Kevin Durant is good at basketball because that means I hate the Celtics.
That means you're
No,
casual.
I mean,
And
and again, it's flipped.
classic
Like early in the
casual.
year.
I like that Bruce Brown stuff. I like some bulletin board.
Yeah, no, that's
ready.
the only thing I could find.
I mean,
right
this is what's so exciting about this series. We're gonna be like glued to Twitter looking at the quotes. I'm gonna go the Nets. I'm gonna be going to the Nets pressers instead of the Celtics ones. I'm just waiting for what's gonna be said at these pressers from these guys because they are always ready to drop a bomb.
Who's gonna win? The Celtics. Because the Celtics are the balls.
Yeah, famous one there. Oh man.
Yeah, I love it.
Kevin Durant's walking it back. He said, "That's caffeine pride talking. Those dudes, Horford and Tice, can do the same things as Williams."
He said that?
Durant said that. Yeah, he's trying to talk back what Bruce Brown said.
Brown, yeah, Brown is excited coming out of the massive game he had tonight, I'd imagine. I mean, he put up some ridiculous stats tonight. Trying to pull them up.
I like that guy a lot, man.
Oh, he's electric.
Yeah, I like
the
him too.
Celtics were scouting him, and he's obviously a Boston guy. Lived in Dorchester and up in Wakefield near me, and went to Miami. Great college career. I thought he was awesome in Detroit too, and Detroit just dumped him for a bag of balls to Brooklyn, and that was one of their better moves of the last couple of years. 9 rebounds, 8 assists. How many points in this one? 18. They weren't getting that early in the year. In fact, this guy was on the bench for them in February. I remember going to Bucks Nets, and he didn't play a minute. And I was like, what is Nash doing? And again, like Jimmy brought up the coaching. You got Ime, who's done a lot this year, and you got Nash, who is just kind of stood there. So that's a factor too here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Ime does in his first playoffs here. I mean, I don't know how you could think that the coaching matchup is even. I mean, I think everyone knows Ime he's not going to win Coach of the Year. I think we kind of saw a lot of we saw a lot of the vote today and where coaches and media are sort of leaning, but he certainly garnered enough attention where he deserves a ton of respect going into his first postseason. So I'm I'm excited to see what he's got in store for them. I certainly would rather have Ime coaching my team than Steve Nash. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a big advantage right there.
But again, this is what I want to keep coming back to is, guys, it's not breaking news that the Nets can't play defense and Steve Nash is not a good coach. These are not revelations. These are not revelations that you've just come up with watching the Nets the last month or two. That's like a surprise. The Nets, knowing Steve Nash is a bad coach and knowing that they can't, nor do they care,
Right.
All right, let me get
to
this
play a
from you,
lick
John.
of defense was considered an overwhelming prohibitive title favorite to enter the season. Of course, that team had Harden. It's a different story. And so it's
But they're not that
team.
favored anymore. Even if they are healthy, they're not looked at as the dominant.
They're not. What I'm
oh my
saying
They
is,
God,
shouldn't be the
beat this
favorite.
Nets
the
team.
problems they had before the season are still here. Like the defense, Nash not being a great coach. So this stuff isn't like to add like, oh, did you guys know? Like, of course, we know. We know. That's not why people think the Nets are good or dangerous or formidable. It's for the other reasons. That's it. So it's I'm not going to be convinced because you're like they're bad at defense. We're like, we know they're bad at defense. It was on the scouting report, like to begin the year. Like,
So what does it look like? I think you put a good hypothetical out there, John, in terms of what it would look like if the Celtics win the series going away. Like they're just cruising and playing basketball at a higher level.
yeah,
I think
they just
1 to
function
8.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because everybody's involved and everybody's got their role, and they just have more 1 to 8 than the Nets have. So that's certainly possible. What does it look like if the Nets win this, though? Because that's what I'm having.
That's the thing is bad fourth quarter execution. Shots don't fall. They get they get into my ball, your ball kind of ISO.
So they got to
offense.
revert a little bit, right? Like
That's the
what it's
fear.
gonna take?
The fear is the close game. Look, say what you will. The close game record, though most of those were early in the year, was a thing that they didn't get past because they were so freaking good.
But they did it
long.
against this team.
And this is the one game where they actually had a really close game and executed, and it was great. And just everybody else they just destroyed. So they didn't exercise any of those early demons. They've just beat everybody by 20 and 30 points. So that was resolved. You're just hoping it evens out over time, and it was a fluke, you know. And a lot of people do suggest that stuff is fluky. I don't know whether or not it necessarily is. So that's the thing is you just revert. You have those two snapshots of Miami and Dallas, two teams that you kind of melted down against late, but both of those teams play defense at a high level. The Nets don't. The reason I don't feel super worried, Bobby, that they will have those fourth quarter meltdowns is because the Nets can't apply the same level of defensive pressure, you know?
Yeah,
And so that's a thing. You're going to find your matchups. So even if you do go a little ISO heavy, you're always going to be attacking some sort of weakness somewhere. You know, I do think Simmons coming in changes that a little bit. But yeah,
it's gotta be on a string to some degree. Like you can't just go out there and lock a guy down, and that's gonna be
going ice cold and freezing up in the fourth quarter is where you might lose some of these games. If you know those other guys are going off, you're playing defense for 22 seconds and they're still hitting their shots. You know, but Brooklyn has to play. I wouldn't say perfect, but they can't survive off nights from their stars. You know, and the Celtics have a lot more leeway than they do.
Yeah, Brooklyn doesn't want to play the Celtics. They don't want to play Boston. There's no. I mean,
they don't want to play any of the top four.
As much as we say the Celtics didn't want to play Brooklyn, they don't want to play Boston more than vice versa. Because
you know who Brooklyn might have wanted to play?
Boston plays hard.
I think Brooklyn would have wanted to play Philly.
I don't think they wanted Miami. I don't think they wanted. Again, I think the Celtics without Rob was a more favorable matchup than Milwaukee or Miami, but maybe not Philly. I think they would have been happy with Philly or Boston, but knowing that they're playing one of the top four.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With Rob, different story. Yeah.
And they put a tough path in front of themselves with all the stuff they've gone through this year. And certainly, I don't know if you guys caught the ESPN piece today on them. That can inspire much confidence. I don't think anything in there was too revelatory, but certainly some division, between KD and Harden. I thought there was a great line in there in terms of like the players dictating the level of defensive intensity that they'd play with and the complications of the system that they'd be in. They went for a more lax defensive system rather than it's something the team wanted to do, evidently. A lot of the stuff, the issues in Brooklyn, I think go back to the coach losing Kenny Atkinson there and going for a guy like Steve Nash, who's just overseeing some things. And Again, even that trade, you see Jared Allen and Karis LeVert on the Cavs side
Steve
here.
Nash is like one of those no-show jobs, in Sopranos. He just kind of goes there and sits in a chair.
What's up with him?
Huh?
Like, I love Steve Nash. Like, he would go on podcasts and everything else. He'd have a lot of insight. Like, he'd be a good guy to listen to. Now it's like he's just like guarding the castle. He doesn't want to say anything. He doesn't want to like ruffle any feathers.
He kind of he had to deal with a lot this year, though. I mean,
I think
between
he knows,
Harden allegedly showing up not in shape, between Kyrie, missing half the season or really more, and Durant, being the superstar that probably doesn't really need any coaching. I mean, what was Steve Nash really supposed to do?
Out of the gate when he was
it's
hired,
a circus over there. Yeah,
right out of the gate when he was hired. What did Kyrie say?
Oh, what did he say?
You remember,
Jimmy?
Jimmy?
Coach.
He's like, this team doesn't even need a coach.
Yeah, we don't need a coach. Yeah, pretty much. That was great.
That's another great line
awesome.
from the piece today. Kevin Arnovitz wrote it. He said, "With Irving, it's always something."
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just to summarize some of that piece about the death of the super team, I actually think I've always thought this. And we talked about this a little bit.
This piece was good for the Celtics.
But when we were talking about team building and this idea of load up and go all in for Beal or that star and then have dregs at the end of the roster, or commit to guys like Robin Smart and build around there. Again, in a perfect world, Celtics would have done it also through the draft, where instead of Nesmith and Romeo, you'd have guys like Bain or Maxey or whomever who were contributing but young. That's how you build a super team. You've got the stars already locked up. You've got the right core pieces, and then you got the cheaper guys on rookie contracts, and then you figure out what you're going to do after it. That's the way you do it. That 3-star thing where you just go and get 3 guys at top dollar all to come in and play together, I think is dying a slow death here.
It's true.
It's just,
it's true.
You have impossible to build a roster. So you're just at the mercy of whoever's just laying around unemployed at the end of the day. You always have fit issues, especially when the stars are deciding who gets to play with who. You have stupid, ridiculous things like the Durant insisting on DeAndre Jordan joining them. And that was part of the deal.
Insane.
It's like, yeah, we'll all join here, but can you also give 20-something million to my buddy here that can't friggin' hit a layup with his right hand?
It seemed like in the piece, Brooklyn could have done without Kyrie, but he was part of the deal too. I don't know how true that is, but you've heard that all right, like, do we really want Kyrie? Like, because in the piece they said Boston warned Brooklyn, Cleveland warned Brooklyn, look out for this guy. And it was just part of the deal. I think, as they said in the piece, no Kyrie, no Durant, and Jordan was part of that too, which I'll never really get over. They end up losing Allen for him. But, man, mistake after mistake.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, and that sort of led them here. They should be talked about like the Lakers this year. They really should. Like, the level of dysfunction, the way that Harden thing went, the way they lied through that too, saying everything was fine, and then the next day he's gone. It was just an absolute dumpster fire. So you do have to consider that. Listen, things have changed, John, certainly. Guys are back. We might talk about this Nets franchise differently if they just had their big 3 together last year. I'll give them that. Like, They might have stormed through the playoffs and this piece never gets written. But the reality's the reality, the fallout's the fallout, and they are where they are.
and what's fun? What are you laughing at, Jimmy?
Just that comment.
Yeah. No, you're right, Bobby. The other interesting thing about the piece is just simply like just how dysfunctional these guys are, period. Like Durant, left Golden State because Draymond was mean to him. You can't have a better situation there in terms of a supportive coach, a terrific
still wants his jersey retired,
an owner that literally would have just paid.
They'd still be winning
$10 zillion into the tax to keep his team together. Didn't matter at all. You have that in Brooklyn as well. But money's not an object there either. They're paying well into the tax, but you had everything there and you left for no reason. You come over here, Harden, who shoots his way out of like one place after another, forces his way there, shows up fat,
eats his way out of one place.
And then Durant hates him. And Harden's like, F this place, I'm out of here. And leaves again, and then you got the Kyrie thing as well, just lingering. It's less, that's just toxic soup. Toxic.
And they got a coach fired. Don't forget that on year 1. Like, and Durant wasn't even there.
Kyrie
just-
came in on year one with Durant not there, and he's like, we gotta get rid of all
Yeah.
these guys, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's so bad.
It was just
you
like
can't
the
have
Lakers.
culture. There's no culture because it's you
Right.
and a bunch of rent-a guys, and everybody's looking around knowing that the stars want them off the team to get another star buddy on the team. The second Kyrie arrives, it's like, how soon are we going to get rid of everybody else to get another one of my pals here? It's a tough
Well,
way
yeah,
to
I
build,
mean, like, it's
build
what
a
happened in
culture.
LA. I mean, with LeBron,
It really
like,
is, Jimmy.
you can't have the players be building these teams. Like,
The
yeah, it's
GM.
fun to. It's like in college, it's great. You pick your classes and you want all your friends in your classes, but guess what? You don't learn shit. You skate by maybe. You don't need to graduate at the top of your class in college, but yeah, you're having a blast maybe, but it's not really the point. I mean, if the goal is to win games, you can't always play with all your besties. You got to just play with the people that make sense and that can get you to the next level. So we used to criticize on this very show, Tatum and Brown, all this stuff, how they're not friends and blah, blah, blah. How much of it's true, who the hell knows? But it's probably a good thing that, they aren't the best of friends and only look, to play with each other and all that stuff. Like they should be looking at other players on their team. They should be looking to get everybody involved. They should be looking around the league for other players that can help make the team better and not just picking, oh yeah, I this guy, so I want to play with him again, and oh yeah, and bring this guy along too. And then, like you said, John, there's no money left at the end to fill out the roster, and you end up with bare bones, especially if one or two of those guys goes down throughout the year. And typically, with older players who are commanding that amount of money, they're more inclined to go down at points in the season because they're getting up there in age. They can't go 82 games like some of these young guys will, or even 72 games now, So there's a lot of reasons to try to stay away from building teams that way.
Yeah,
So
it's tough. LeBron's situation is totally different. He's the most passive-aggressive guy in the history of
Sure.
mankind.
It is
Right.
interesting because
yeah.
and this changed on the flip
I mean,
side for the Celtics, right? Like it felt like they were gonna have to do that whole thing to make this work here. And at first it was the Beal thing. We all thought that's where they were headed, and then it was like, all right, they probably can't get Beal, but try to find like that next guy who might become the superstar, and just like hope that it all comes together. Now with all the homegrown guys, and they were kind of doing this before they diverted to the Kyrie thing. It's Tatum, it's Brown, it's Rob, who's really come on this year. It's Smart now. Like, that was never imaginable that he'd be part of the solution and the core here, but he is. And they're effectively looking at running this team back for a couple of years here. And it's all, white aside, guys that have played together a ton, guys that came up and have been through playoff series together by bringing Horford and Tice back. Like, how much of this was planned? How much of this just fell into place? Probably more of the latter, especially since it was looking like this whole thing was crumbling in January. But you end up in a really good place here where you are one of those teams that's a little more naturally built and a little more sustainable here. So you're thrilled about that. Like, are you championship level? You saw it for 2 months this year. Can you get back to that point? That's going to be an important question. But you feel good about carrying this team into the future now. Like, this offseason is just going to be about like building around the edges, all these guys getting better again. And I wrote for Celtics blog this morning, like, you have Ime to thank for that. You really do. Like, no one, I know Tatum leveled up and he had to do his thing. Smart had to make the sacrifices. Brad had to make some moves. But Ime is the guy who put them in this position by just making everybody take that step that they needed to get to this spot. They were stuck in the middle. They weren't in any better spot than the Nets 2-3 months ago. And now it feels like they really are, despite having less top end talent.
Yeah, we talked about it when we were chatting today, but that piece coming out of Portland on Ime was interesting again.
That was so good.
Talking about, and if anyone hasn't read
Can
it,
you sum it up?
Yeah, I can. But you guys should pay for quality content, so everybody should subscribe. I don't like giving stuff away for free.
It was sort of
even
I'm
if it's not my own.
Read it to me.
I'll give you two bullets that were interesting. This is stuff we've talked about all season long, and it's just interesting just how the narratives go because I don't have the piece in front of me, but I'll paraphrase some of it. Just talked about Ime kind of laid out this tough guy mentality and the way he was going to deal with stuff earlier in the year. And at first he wasn't doing it. And these assistant coaches, Stoudemire and Miles, they're looking at him like, dude, when are you going to drop the hammer? And he was just kind of waiting. And he was patient with him. And then you have that December film session that everybody talks about where he lit into everybody and he called them out one by one. And that was
after that bad road trip, the LA one, right?
But the bigger takeaway to me was and it was evident in almost everything that Ime said. It was interesting how he just wouldn't give up any praise, even when they had some good games early in the year, because he still just didn't like it. And when Tatum would have like a 35-point game, he'd be like, he's doing some things, and you could tell it was just like, it's still not what I want. And like what we've talked about all year is like this, when they were going really bad, are they chasing stats? What's wrong? And a lot of it was just like, at least through Ime's eyes, and these are the quotes he's giving, is like they just didn't know how to win yet. And he said a lot of players, they only know how to be all-stars or make all NBA or get their contracts, but they don't know what it takes to win. And he's clearly talking about these guys who, while he respected the hell out of their game, knew that they hadn't yet learned how to win. And he was kind of giving them time to figure it out. And he was confident that it would. And again, it's another testament to Ime. It's just interesting because we think like, the amount of patience it would have taken, particularly for a rookie coach, he could have freaked out. He could have turtled. He could have started to go in different directions. He could have said, the thing I'm doing isn't working. Let's just do whatever you guys want. It could have gone in a lot of ways. A lot of people would do that. They'd start to question themselves instantly. And even in the piece, they were talking about that. Like the coaches are wondering, like, is Ime going to be all right? Is he going to come through this? And he waited them out. And like, they eventually kind of had that full buy-in, which is what makes this so amazing, is like, it was up to them. It's like, therapy, you can go, but you have to want to change, until those guys wanted to commit to do the things, whatever it was necessary to win. And like, again, an Ime quote in this piece is just really simple, like saying there's two things: just share the ball and bust your ass on defense. That's all he was trying to do. But until you do those two things, we can't be a team. I'm seeing something happen in Minnesota there. Yeah.
That's what I was.
That's what I assumed. That's what it was about. It was really interesting, but just doubling down on what you guys saying, Ime's just been phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Really.
Wow.
And, unfortunately,
he
looking
said
at the early ballots, I know John and I have been hot on this. It feels like he's the coach of the year, but
should be.
Monty Williams is probably going to win it. So whatever. Monty had a good year too.
Okay? He is the official Report Coach of the Year award winner.
I'm sure you could dig up some stuff.
Look at Kess saying nice things about Brad. Look how we've come full circle here. Look at that.
Kess had a great appearance on our Discord server. I don't know if I'll go over there and chat tonight, but a lot of people showed up for that last time we did it. We obviously did a great Spaces last night, so lots of opportunities to talk coming up. But yeah, Ime, like, I'm so glad someone wrote that. Ended up being a Portland beat guy, but you got to the core of like, all right, how did he kind of capture this team, get their attention? It didn't have that definitive moment, John, but it came close, that film session where he was like, all right, I'm going to get back in the unloading on these guys. And you just saw the satisfaction in his voice when, they were looking back on the moment where everything changed. And I asked him that a few times. I was like, is there something you can look back on, like, that just flipped there? And he was like, oh, we got healthy, we got our lineups together. And it's like, all right. But finally, someone got him to open up and say, like, it was that moment in New York where, like, people didn't like it, but I said they weren't mentally tough. And we need a leader to step up, all that different kind of stuff. And he was like, I heard some people didn't like when I said that, like, I care. And it was just like, all right, yep, Ime found himself. Because you did kind of see him going back and forth between like offering up some praise, some patience. This isn't going to happen overnight, and being more the tough guy, which didn't go over well early in the year. We all remember it, John. This chat won him fired because he was talking bad about the players. A lot of people did.
But again, he really slow played it, though. I mean, he'd say some stuff publicly, but yeah, he was frustrated. He just wasn't calling them out. And that's what it comes down to, is like, you want to compare yourself to Belichick. He's one of those coaches, for better, for worse, they always would say he'd do the same thing to Tom Brady that he would do to friggin', the special teamer. If something happened in the game that was a teaching moment, he'd bring it up and say, that's not how you do this. And that's kind of what that was just pointing out, look at how bad all of you have been. Like, none of you are doing this the right way. But like early on, we were freaking because it's like, Tatum's not playing defense. Jalen isn't paying attention right now. Smart's shooting 14 threes. At what point is he gonna?
Right.
At what point is he gonna walk up to him and be like, "This isn't
Do
what I told you."
something.
Like, do something.
Yeah.
He said no one was gonna complain, and they complained nonstop. He said he wanted captains.
Yeah.
No one wanted the captains. We were like,
It wasn't easy.
we're like, did he lose? That was so. The fear was he lost control early. And that they killed another coach. They killed Brad, then they killed Ime. So the fact that turned around, I thought
Brad might come back.
I didn't think Ime was doing a bad job, but I still was worried that they were going to kill him. That no one could fix them.
Listen, he had a lot of tough stuff going on.
It just felt like there was nobody that was going to get through to these guys, and it was like, oh, this team's not going to make it. They're going to have to make drastic changes beyond the coach. But
right, that's what it was feeling
like.
Like.
Talked about John. Yeah, he was able to get through to these guys, and this is the product that you now see. So it worked, and it just goes to show that they did need a coaching change, because I don't see Brad Stevens
and
flipping
it still
a switch
took time,
and becoming the type of coach that Ime is. Mentality wise, just the style. I'm not saying that Brad Stevens isn't a smart coach. I just don't know if he could get through to the players the way Ime had. So that's why I think that it was a necessary move. And this proved
also,
but it still took time.
To Brad's credit, he knew he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
He's talking to them and he's doing everything. He's doing his coachy stuff that's always worked for him in the past. And he's like, nope, can't get it.
Not these guys. Nope. Yep.
Right. I've taken them this far, but I can't get them any further, And that's probably what he's looking at. He's looking at Brown and Tatum and those guys and like, no, I can't get them to do what I want. They're good, but I can't get them to do what I want.
And that's the key. Ime went through it too. The first couple months there, like you remember Brown saying, like, "Oh, I'm willing to listen to anybody's ideas. I'll see what he's got to say." And there wasn't like a full acceptance.
Too democratic.
Yeah.
Best version of ourselves, sort of stuff. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Shoot. I don't want to tell you not to shoot because then you won't be confident when it is your time to shoot. That works for a bunch of underdogs when you want to get them all to play over their heads. It doesn't work when you have clear-cut people.
And that's
like,
exactly what Brad had when he came into the league.
You should not shoot. It wasn't like, oh, sure, everybody do it. Those games, where you'd have like Jason Tatum would have 34 points and, had missed 4 shots all game and then he wouldn't touch the ball for the last 6 minutes of regulation. That stuff would just drive me bananas.
Yeah, and luckily it wasn't easy, but Udoka figured it out. I really love. I'd recommend everyone go read that piece because it does have a lot of the great background and answers the questions we've been asking. So
So
how did that Blazers reporter? Like, what's the connection?
Case from Portland.
Portland. The coaches.
Right, of course.
Yeah. Gotcha. Couple programming notes. Discord. Jump on there, chat. Some people have been on there the whole game, hanging on there now. A lot of people go both here. They're in this chat, they're in that chat. Do whatever you want, guys. It's a lot of fun. Discord family's been great here at CLNS. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the playoffs, and we need some friggin' help. So let's go.
We're like 800 and what, 850-ish or something?
890 or so. Tell your friends.
Nice.
If you have Celtic, everybody tell one friend. Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Tell your friends. Tell your family. Everyone at Easter, have 3 family members join the Discord that you like. You don't want your weird uncle. We don't want any weird uncles joining the Discord. We want like the cool cousin. And
I promise I'll jump in there on the Discord dunk tank, and you guys can just friggin' let me have it for my Nets love if you want. I'm fine with that. I don't care. That's all good. We also do want to tell you guys once again, welcome back to our sponsor, calm.com/garden. Number 1 sleep and meditation app out there. Go to calm.com/garden, receive 40% off a Calm premium subscription.
Deep breath in.
Yeah.
And exhale.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be good, guys.
I learned that in Calm. I learned that in the Calm app. Yeah. It's going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to have a fun week, a lot of build up. And then Sunday, the start of something good, I think.
Celtics practice next 2 days. So we'll have updates out of that.
Oh, we got some practice. Not a lot of practice that we get good availability for. But this is going to be a good availability week. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
get some New
interested-
York reporters in the mix. New York reporters will they won't leave anything unsaid. They'll ask anything. So we might get some good quotes this week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So we might pop on one more time before the game. If not, we know it's Sunday. Game 1 is Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Easter Sunday. Jimmy's got a roast. He's got, what are you making, Jimmy?
I'm actually not making. We're going. I'm going to a family member's place, so I don't have to worry about any cooking. I heard that we're going to be doing some grilling though, as long as the weather cooperates. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't need like the traditional Easter meal, whatever, like ham or something. I don't need that. So
ham.
put some steak tips on the grill. Let's start the season off right.
Yep.
So
We're
that's
starting.
what I'm hoping for.
Let's
We're
see the
starting-
weather.
Yeah, we're starting game
Grill
1 on
season.
Easter.
I think it's
We hope.
doable.
Yeah, you're gonna grill. They're gonna grill.
Yeah, we're definitely grilling. That's 100%.
That's
54.
Maybe rabbit.
Ooh, 66
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow.
That's good
No
stuff.
Easter bunny joke there.
So
for
we
the
start
kids.
the series
Just
on
kidding,
Easter.
kids.
We finish it on Greekster. Okay, we'll get it done in what, 4 or 5? What do you think?
Oh, Greekster. Like
Yeah.
it. Doing some kebabs?
We're waiting for your answer,
Some
John.
lamb?
How long
what?
does
Some
it
lamb?
go?
How long is
Oh,
it?
yeah. He's not ready.
I'm not ready. I will
What's it-
give it.
We're not going to talk to you again by the beginning of game 1.
We'll
I know, he's a
find time,
coward.
we'll find
He's
time.
He was a coward. You know what it is? He doesn't want to take the heat.
He doesn't want it on a
He doesn't
clip
take
that
the
we
heat.
can cut up. And
He doesn't
in a
want
couple
a
weeks.
clip that he has to apologize for.
No, it's still
That's what it is.
marinating. Still
Oh,
marinating.
man.
If you want,
The
I'll
hard
do like
hat's staying.
I'll do a solo garden report for 1 minute and just give you my prediction right
Done.
before the game.
Perfect.
That would get thousands of
Hi.
views.
Hi guys, Nets in
It
5.
has to be live
Bye.
so everyone can trash you in the comments.
Nets
Yeah.
in 5. Gotta go.
Oh, Brockton Wi-Fi is cutting out.
All right, thank you guys for hanging out. It was an impromptu post-game show. Not impromptu. We knew we were
Yep.
going to do it, but non-Celtics post-game show.
I think that's a first, right? Maybe.
after a different game.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is. Definitely a first after a different game.
Yeah.
That's
So-
how excited we
so-
are for the series.
Well, whatever. We wanted to talk about it, so we did it. And
We've been
that's
talking
it.
about it for 2 weeks. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And now we can finally
Oh, we knew
say
who it
it's
was
the
going to be.
Nets.
Oh, before
Well, we
that,
didn't
yeah.
though. We dedicated 20, 30 minutes to scenarios, and it was just like, guys, let's just wait until tomorrow, and we can figure it out.
Anyway,
But it's finally
Chicago.
here.
Thank you guys. It's always fun. It's fun to have you on here. We enjoy producing the content. We hope you guys enjoy watching it. We will hopefully have a long
Playoffs are going to be big. Our viewership. I'm predicting double viewership. That's what I'm predicting. So if we're at 10K, I'm going to expect 20K. If we're at 15K,
Here's the thing.
I'm expecting 30K.
Yeah, here's what we've lost. By the Celtics being as good as they were and also beating a bunch of crap teams, but just stomping people, we haven't had we went through a period of time where it was just hard to like talk about like game over game. It was just like they're awesome.
Oh,
Right.
for you it was.
No, it was just like they're awesome. Like it's hard to say it. In the same way
Right.
when they were bad, we had nothing to talk about. They're like they suck. And then they were so good.
Right.
So now it's like game by game, play by play, moment by moment, everything matters. So
These
it
things
just
matter, yeah.
It's gonna be epic.
everything.
And
kicks
again,
up a
like
notch.
let
Every
me
show
let
will
me
feel unique. Every show will feel unique for sure.
kick it back to
Right, we
like,
did
again,
one post game show for 45 games, and then another one for 35. That's
Right.
basically it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
It was
I've been
Groundhog
trying to-
Day, just two different versions.
Right.
I've been trying to explain the allure of this matchup too, like just how big and grand this is gonna feel. Like that matchup in March, a regular season game, when the Nets are still kind of sputtering along, but they had their two guys. You could just feel it. Like when Kyrie got the ball and Durant got the ball and they were starting to line guys up, it was like, here we go. Like this is. I want everybody
Yeah.
to sit down and watch that come together and just be like, oh, this is gonna be a breeze. This is a battle. This is like an Eastern Conference Finals round 1 coming together. So get ready for the.
It's gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
If you're going to the game, you're definitely gonna get big playoff game vibes. I can't. I wish I was going.
This
but
isn't
I'm not,
Boston,
so
Charlotte.
It's all good.
Yeah, so I am going
No,
to the game as a
exactly.
fan also. I do have to full disclosure on
Oh,
that.
what section are you in, John? What
really
section are you
good-
gonna be sitting
A
in?
really good one.
Which one?
Oh,
No,
really?
which game?
I'm in a good spot. Game 1.
You're in game 1?
Oh,
Yeah.
John's becoming
right, well,
season ticket towel waiver.
Nah, just
I
people
will.
are. Yeah.
I will try to figure out what section John is in, and I will tweet it out. So if you guys are at the game, you can go down there and criticize John for whatever his prediction is. If he does have a
Yeah.
prediction that we all disagree with,
Bring
we'll
it.
find
Yes.
out. But
You come find me. Jimmy was gonna tweet it out last game.
yeah, because you send us like the tiniest pictures, like section and like whatever. I was like, I know
He
exactly where
nailed
you
it. He's
are.
like 110. You know.
Yeah, no, I think it was 9.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
There
yeah,
has
it
to
was.
be some extra
was,
extras.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get when you live in the garden. You just know. You just know.
I yell at a lot of people when I go to games.
Yeah,
Row the
that's
sea.
what
Yeah.
I would
No,
expect.
not that way. I just yell at people. Not like that.
Just an angry guy. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
angry. All right, that's it,
Well,
guys.
enjoy the game, boys. We'll be watching. I'll be watching from somewhere, but I'll see you guys after the game,
See you Sunday.
All right.
and I will see everybody here after the game.